Hi guys, it's me, Mr. Bertoch, your incredibly handsome science teacher. And in this video, we're going to talk about food webs. Living things have needs, like they need space, they need energy, they need, I don't know what else they need. They need air, they need to exchange gases with the environment. They need love. I don't know. I need love. Anyway, living things have needs. And one of those needs is, as I said, they need energy. They need food. They need to somehow get energy so that they can carry on the things, the processes of life on a cellular level, especially. So, where do they get this energy from? In this video, we're going to talk about how energy moves throughout an environment. And that energy moves from organism to organism in a way that we can trace. We could draw it, we could diagram it, and it would look either like a chain or it would look like a web. We call those food chains and food webs. A food web is like a whole bunch of food chains interconnected. So let's start at the beginning, because that seems to always be a good place. Let's start at the beginning, shall we? The beginning of energy in an environment is where? Where does all of the energy typically? There are actually some exceptions, like deep down in the ocean, where it doesn't come from this place. But typically, especially on the surface, and in like 99.9% of cases, the energy in a system, in an environment, comes from this giant yellow glowing ball in the air. You may have never noticed it, but I am very observant, so I have. It's called the sun. And the sun, this yellow orb of light, it produces light and energy that radiate away from the sun and eventually hit the surface of the earth. And it just makes a tremendous amount of energy. Well, all over the surface of the earth. Something else you may never have noticed, but I have, because I'm really observant. There's these green things, and they're called plants, and they grow all over the surface of the earth. No, really, I'm not kidding. Like, look out your window right now, you'll see them. I promise. You think I'm lying, but I'm not. There's plants out there, and they are green. Okay, and these green plants, they have, if you zoom in, zoom, and on the leaves, you are going to see deep down in the cells of these plants, you're going to see something called chloroplasts. And the chloroplasts, if I zoom in further, are filled with chlorophyll. And the chlorophyll is where something called photosynthesis occurs. The sunlight is hitting this chlorophyll, and it is being converted into, well, not the sunlight, but the sunlight's being used as energy to convert carbon dioxide and water into glucose, which is a fancy sciencey word for sugar. So the sunlight is the energy that is used by plants to produce sugar. And sugar is pretty much the energy source that the rest of the entire environment is dependent on, where it's like we're all addicted to it. We're all addicted to sugar. We have to have it, or we will, in fact, die. Okay? All of us, all things, living things, there actually are some exceptions there too, but animals anyway, and plants have in our cells have something called a mighty mitochondria. Really, it's just called mitochondria, but I call it the mighty mitochondria. And the mighty mitochondria is an organelle in every cell of your body, because your body is made up of 100 trillion or so cells, and every one of them has mighty mitochondria in there. These mitochondria are doing a job, yea, verily, which is to burn the sugar. They use the sugar, they're the powerhouse of the cell, and they use the sugar in order to create energy. They make ATP, which is more complicated than I want to get into in this video, but let's just say they use the sugar to make energy. So sugar is the source of energy that the rest of the environment uses. And it starts with sun. So at the very beginning of the food chain, it would be the sun. Now, here's the deal. Most of that sunlight bounces off the leaves. It becomes heat. It heats the leaves up. Most of it is not used to create sugar in the chlorophyll, which is in the chloroplast, which is in the leaves. Okay, that's what makes the plants green. Only 10%, a very small amount of that sunlight, is actually utilized by the leaves to make sugar. 90% of it bounces off or becomes heat. We call that the 10% rule. So only 10% of the plant is only able to use 10% of the sun's light to actually produce sugar. And that is the 10% rule. So the leaves, the grasses, the plants, they're growing, they're getting bigger, they're making all this delicious sugar, and what happens? Along comes, I don't know, how about a hippopotamus? That seems unexpected. And let's not do a hippopotamus because they're pretty mean. Let's do something nice, like a cute baby zebra. Along comes a cute baby zebra, and it eats this adorable, sweet, cute baby zebra, eats the grasses, and it is consuming the grass so that it can get the sugar, basically, that is inside of the grass that was produced by the chlorophyll in the cells, because the zebra cannot make its own sugar. It cannot. We're animals. We are heterotrophs, which is a fancy sciencey word. The plant sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Heterotrophs are organisms that cannot make their own food. Autotrophs, like plants, those are organisms that can make their own food. So plants are autotrophs. We call them producers because they are producing sugar. They're producing food. And so along comes the zebra, the baby, adorable, with sparkles all around it because it's just so dang cute. It consumes the grass. Well, it's consuming the grass, so we call it a consumer. So remember, autotroph, fancy sciencey word that means can't make its own food. Also, autotroph, I lied, is a fancy sciencey word that means it can make its own food. And autotrophs are producers because they produce food. Heterotroph is a fancy sciencey word that means cannot make its own food. And they are consumers because they consume. So the adorable baby, cute little, sweet, wonderful zebra that has sparkles all around it eats the grass with his big, adorable eyes of cuteliness. And what happens? Oh, and by the way, I should mention the baby, cute, adorable, etc. zebra, it can only take in 10% of the energy in the grass. Okay? The rest of that it's not able to metabolize because, a lot of that energy went to build structures in the grass that the baby zebra can't metabolize. And they come out of its bottom onto the ground. Yeah. They make baby, adorable, cute little zebra doo-doo on the ground. So anyway, 10% of the energy in that grass is able to be used by the zebra. And we call that what? That is called we talked about it a minute ago, that is the 10% rule, right? So we've gone from 10% of the energy of the sun into the plant, and then 10% of the plant's energy into the zebra. So now we're at 1% of the energy that was originally in the sunlight is now found in the cute baby zebra with his cute, adorable eyes that are all sparkly. And what happens? The cute baby zebra is minding his own business when along comes a lion. And the lion is like, that baby zebra looks delicious. I'm going to have to eat it. And so it pounces on it and it rips it to shreds and blood goes everywhere. Yeah, sorry. But that's what happens. And the lion eats the baby zebra, and its meat is incorporated into the lion. What percentage, pray tell, of the zebra's energy is the lion able to incorporate into itself? If you said 10%, you would in fact be right, because we call that the 10% rule. So the zebra is able to, or the lion rather, is able to, that would be weird if a zebra was eating another zebra. That's like a vampire zebra. So the lion is it eats the zebra and incorporates 10% of the energy, because the zebra used the rest of its energy to build structures like bones and other things that the lion's not going to be able to metabolize. So 10% of the energy from the zebra ends up in the lion. Well, now where are we? We were 10% from the sun to the plants. So that's 10%. And then we were 10% from the plants to the zebra. So that's 1% of the sun's energy. And then we're 10% of that. So now we are at 0.1% of the sun's energy. So the lion is just getting 0.1%. Well, what would happen if you ate the lion? Besides being a weirdo, I don't know that anybody eats lions. Maybe I should be careful. Maybe I shouldn't call them weirdos. Maybe people do. I don't know. But sorry, I got distracted by my eyebrows. Anyway, but if you did eat the lion, you would get 0.01% of the sun's original energy. In other words, there is not a lot of nutrition in a lion. Okay, do you see how every point we go down through the food web, or in this case, this is a food chain, that there is less and less and less and less energy. There's 90% less energy, so it's a less nutritious source of food. If you want to get the most nutritious food, you're going to eat plants, because we can't eat sunlight. If you stand outside with your mouth open and try to eat the sunlight, it's not going to be very great. That would be where you could get the most energy if you could, but we can't. So we have to start with the producers. We are consumers. We eat the producers. A primary consumer eats plants. I'm giving you an awful lot of vocabulary in this video. I'm sorry, but also you're welcome. The primary consumer eats plants. Okay, so primary consumer, that's the first level of consumers. They eat plants. We call them herbivores. A secondary consumer eats primary consumers. That would be the lion. So a primary consumer is the zebra. A secondary consumer is the lion. And we call secondary consumers what? We call them carnivores, because they eat meat. You could also use the words predator and prey. Prey would be the zebra. Predator would be the lion. Lots of words, right? Oh no, what just happened? My video froze. Hopefully I'm still recording. Okay, well, that was weird. I think I'm recorded through all that. What is going on? I think my internet's going down. Anyway, this will be weird in the middle of my video. So I totally lost my train of thought. I know I was talking about something. Oh yeah, lots of words. I was using words in my video. Nope, I'm good at that. Anyway, words. So words like predator and prey and primary consumer and secondary consumer and autotroph and heterotroph. These are all, and I forgot one that's very important, which is omnivore. An omnivore is a bothivore. It is an animal that eats both plants and animals, like a bear. Okay, a bear eats whatever it can get its bare paws on. It'll eat animals, it will eat plants, berries, honey. it will eat whatever. Honey's kind of a generalization, but they do actually sometimes eat honey. But anyway, so that is a food chain. Now, what about a food web? A food web is when we look at multiple food chains all in the same environment, all over the top of each other. Because predators, like an eagle, let's say an eagle, they don't eat just one thing. They don't just eat fish. They eat fish and they eat rabbits and they'll eat mice and they'll eat whatever. They'll eat small children. Okay, not really, but they'll eat whatever they can get their hands on, their talons on, their beaks on. And the fish doesn't just eat one type of insect. It'll eat all different kinds of insects and bits of plant and things that are floating in the water, right? And we already mentioned bears. Bears don't just eat one thing. They'll eat berries and snails and whatever they can find under rocks. They'll just eat up whatever they can find, clams. And if they're like grizzly bears, they'll eat salmon. And, you know, all of the herbivores, like the deer, they don't just eat one type of plant. They'll eat different kinds of grasses and leaves and things. So it's not a food chain. It's a food web. It's a food net. There's all these lines. If we were to diagram what eats what and how the energy moves through an environment, there would be lines going everywhere, all over the place. And that is a food web. It's important to remember the 10% rule. Remember that all the energy starts with the sun, then it goes to the producers, and at each level, from the sun to the producer, there's 90% loss of energy, and then from the producer to the primary consumer, there's 90% loss of energy, and from the primary consumer to the secondary consumer, 90%. We call that what? We call that the 10% rule, right? Because 10% of the energy is moving on at each level of a food web. And remember all those other words I worded at you. I spoke at you. I barfed up on your head into your brain. Like heterotroph and autotroph. And I know there were other words we talked about. Carnivore, herbivore, omnivore, primary consumer, producer, primary consumer, secondary consumer. Yay for words. A word salad. I will eat the word salad and incorporate it into my own food web. Hi guys, thanks for watching my video. These rambling science videos where I go unscripted and just kind of barf up all the science knowledge out of my head are part of a series that go along with an online class that I teach, which you can sign up for if you go to handsomescienceteacher.com. I also have a whole bunch of free resources for homeschoolers. I have hundreds of articles on every topic that covers your entire science curriculum from 5th through 8th grade. I have online games and quizzes, all curated and written by this handsome guy, a science teacher with, well, three degrees, but 2 of them are in science. So it's targeted right to and directly to your science students. So sign up. Subscribe to the channel, and I release lots of videos. Also, in addition to these ones, lots of little short videos that are like 2 minutes long that cover science topics. Those ones you don't get to see my handsome face, but they're still good videos, and they're much more targeted, and those ones are scripted. So you don't have to hear me like you are right now going blah, blah, blah. The end. Subscribe. Thank you. Goodbye.